Wait. I'll call this meeting to order on Monday, November 17th, 2014. Welcome. We're glad everybody's here. Pastor Phil Mageli, how'd I do? So good he's not here. He's from the Square Church at 981 Powder Springs. He did not make it. I'm going to ask in return if Corky Welch, if he will give our invocation and also lead us in the pledge to the flag. So would everyone please rise?
Let us pray. Our kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening, Lord, and thank you for bringing this body together to do the business of the city. We thank you for this group of citizens that have come before us tonight to be the participants from the audience, and we just ask that you bless each and every one that has come here this evening. We ask that you bless this body. We ask that you bless our state and national leaders, Lord, as they make decisions that are the best for this country. And we just ask that you be with each and every one of us as we leave here this evening and keep us safe on the way home. In your name we pray. Amen.
Of the United States of America, and to one nation, under God, indivisible.
Item 2 is agenda changes, and I don't think we have any on the agenda. Under the mayor's report, the Citizens Police Academy graduating class ceremony and presentation of certificates. Mr. Ron Finley, you want to do that? I know we've got Captain Leonard here.
Thank you. I'd like to have Captain Leonard come forward, talk a little bit about the program, and invite you all to meet the participants who are graduating tonight. Captain Leonard.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we have tonight our third graduation for the Citizens Police Academy. This is an 11-week program. It brings together members of the community that want to learn about the police department. Over the course of the past 11 weeks, they've had the chance to see every aspect of the police department's operation. They've had classes that include traffic enforcement. They've learned about criminal investigations. They have learned about and actually done some crime scene processing. They've had class on use of force and used a judgmental shooting simulator so that they could learn to make the same type of decisions that police officers are challenged to make. They had the opportunity to learn about firearms safety and actually shoot the same guns that we carry. They learned about death investigation and took a trip to the medical examiner's office. And they also had the opportunity to go down to the police academy. Each one of them also had the opportunity to participate in a ride-along, and they have some interesting stories about that, where they were able to go out with our officers and see what happens on the streets. I'm very proud of this class, and I'd like to take the opportunity to present them with their certificates.
Thank you, Mr. Fennell. Where'd the chief go? Oversee. There's a camera down there.
Chief Lee, thanks for joining us, and thanks for shepherding another class to help us out as citizen involvement.
Well, I can't take credit for that. Captain Leonard does a fantastic job with this, and these people had a great time. And one of the questions I asked them tonight, I kind of posed to them on the very first meeting that I went to, is that the question I always ask: how many people watch the CSI shows? And they learned that the real truth is not like on TV. But once again, I want to thank Captain Leonard, because he's really the one who's behind this. All I do is say, please handle it, and he does.
Joy Bellieu. Angie Capato.
That name rings a bell.
Pedro de Jesus. Kathleen Gertner. Mariah Hardiman. Michael Haynes. Gat Liu. Ralph Pascal. Robin Phillips. Nancy Reyes. Dennis Taboda. Megan Tanner. Anisha Washington.
My policemen are firemen.
I guess that's all of them. This is our third class.
That's right.
Yes, sir. This is the third class.
I always like to ask any of those that went through the 11 weeks if they'd like to say anything, or I don't know if y'all have a chairman or a mayor of your committee, but it's always nice to hear what you did learn, not so much from these guys, but from yourself. Don't be bashful. All right, Pedro, the chosen one.
Hey there. We threatened Captain Leonard with singing a song for him again, and we're not doing that. It's okay.
Yeah.
I think I speak on behalf of the group that everybody had an amazingly good time, and it has really, I think, opened up our spectrum on the police officers and what it's like to be one. And for myself, I think I have a whole newfound respect for them and for everything they do, and I am actually humbled at how they've stepped out of their way and went the extra mile to be really friendly and accommodating and patient to answer all of our questions. So I'm very thankful. I think everybody else is, and Captain Leonard has been the man, and I think I have a crazy amount of respect for him. I think everybody wants to, volunteer for him now and be more involved in the community.
Good deal. Well, thank y'all very much. We appreciate it. Another great group. Thank y'all very much. And y'all don't have to sit through the rest of the meeting if you don't want to. So, we have a proclamation recognition of SK Electrical Contractors, Inc., 50-year anniversary. And I did see Steve out there. Steve, you want to bring Steve SK? Is Bill out there? Yep. It's amazing how much hair you guys got. If y'all want to come down, I'm going to ask that Susan Wilkinson read this proclamation and present it to you. I want to say, and while they're coming down, one of the first times I met Bill, they don't have to if they don't want to, but we're not going to do this after 100 years. No. I remember one of the first times I saw Bill or met Bill, he was putting up a sign for Frank Johnson at the intersection of Atlanta Road and what used to be Atlanta Terrace. And gosh, that had to be in 1970.
probably
70. No, let's say 7. Well, it was sometime, but you were. Why would Bill Askey be doing that? So I mean, but they've always been a big asset to our community. I know that Steve and I have worked together on several different projects, but a great Smyrna company. I'm going to ask that Susan Wilkinson read this proclamation, and we'll present that to you and let y'all say whatever you want to say. Susan?
Okay, thank you. This is a proclamation by the mayor of the city of Smyrna in recognition of 50 years of Askey Electrical Contractors here in Smyrna. Whereas Askey Electrical Contractors Incorporated has been a Smyrna business for the past 50 years, providing electrical expertise at a high standard of quality and service, and whereas the business was incorporated in 1964 by its founder, Bill Askey, his son Steve took over the business in 1995. Several family members have been instrumental in the company's success through the years. Currently, 6 family members are involved, including Steve Askey, Wes Askey, Tim Askey, Billy Askey, Sarah Harris, and Christy Askey. The family credits the Lord for blessing their efforts. In addition, the company could not have been succeeded without the many dedicated field and office employees, including Kathy Popham, the company's secretary and treasurer, who has been with the company for over 36 years. And whereas the business was started in October of 1963 out of Bill's home on Hurt Road in Smyrna. He then moved the business to Ventura Road, where it stayed for 19 years. Since 1983, the company has done business from its current location at Askey Drive. And whereas the unique company name is a respelling of the family's last name, Bill had originally considered using the family name, but it was frequently mispronounced. While discussing this problem with other family members around his mother's kitchen table, his mother, Oma Askey, came up with the name Askey, which is pronounced exactly the same as the family name. And whereas both Bill and Steve have been deeply involved in the electrical industry, serving on many boards and various other positions. Bill served as president of the Independent Electrical Contractors Association, IEC, which is the largest association for open shop electrical contractors in the nation. During Bill's presidency, the association developed its apprenticeship program, for which is a 4-year-long program that has trained tens of thousands of electricians to date. And whereas giving back to the community has always been important to Bill and Steve, they have been involved on many levels, serving on various boards and committees. In fact, Bill even had the pleasure of serving as a Cobb County Commissioner. Now, whereas I, A. Max Bacon, Mayor of the City of Smyrna, do hereby proclaim November 17, 2014 as a day of recognition for Askey Electrical Contractors, and encourage all city residents, officials, and staff to congratulate Bill Askey, his family, and the entire staff on their many accomplishments and contributions to the city. Thank you.
While she's coming down, it's great. Bill, anything you or Steve would like to say?
Yeah, I would like to say a couple of things. Max, you know, like I said, we've been around a long time and have known a lot of mayors, a lot of council people. And I think that about anybody that really wanted to work and had the right attitude about things, you could make success here in the city of Smyrna. It's been good for me. It's been good for our business. And we've known a lot of folks. I started out really with knowing way back Mr. Smith as the mayor and way on back then and all the way through. And I had a lot of wonderful good times with Arthur Bacon. He helped me out a lot in some certain things that when I had some questions, what I needed to do to satisfy the city things. And I've determined that, in my opinion, that the city of Smyrna is probably, if not the best, one of the best places to live in the metropolitan area and maybe in the whole state, from what it's done over the last few years. The council and the city and people have had to make a lot of tough decisions sometimes, but that's what we're elected for when we are elected for positions. And I think you've done a great job, and we're just thankful for this recognition.
We appreciate y'all too. Bill, you can decide who you want in the picture.
Okay.
Red shirt, move this way. Okay.
Steve?
I echo pretty much everything my dad had to say. We have been blessed to be here in Smyrna. I think probably most anybody in business in Smyrna knows that, and we're very proud to be a part of it. You don't survive 50 years in business really without some key people. I'm happy to have these people behind us, not only here tonight, but working with us every day. Tim Askey, our senior estimator. Wes Askey is our vice president. Kathy Popham's mentioned 36 years. Is that close enough? That's close enough, yeah. Fred Purcell there in the back is our service manager, and I'm very proud of all of them. And yeah, I'm sorry, my wife and my mom is sitting back there, and I have no idea. You know, when you're in business, especially a family business, you don't always have good days. You don't always have good weeks, sometimes not good months, or even good years sometimes. And my mom's sitting back there, and for the last 50 years, she's pretty much had to listen to all the good things and the bad things. And so I'm very thankful for her. And my wife, Alanda's sitting back there too, and she's listened to me for 30-some odd years. So I appreciate both of them very much. So,
well, we hope for another 50 years of Askey Electric in Smyrna.
I'll be
Thank
here
y'all
if you
so
want.
much.
Thank you.
Good deal. Thank y'all. Okay, excuse me, item 4, land use, zonings, and annexation. Item A is 2014-375, public hearing zoning request Z14-025, zoning amendment to modify the currently approved site plan and building elevations, 5.63 acre land lot 607, 4781 Camp Highland Road, Portia Properties, Inc. Is the applicant here? Okay. Get the background from Tony Jo Howard. Please, she's filling in for Eric Howard, who's on vacation.
Yes, Portico Properties, Inc. is requesting a zoning amendment to modify the currently approved site plan and building elevations for the property located at the 4781 Camp Highland Road. The zoning amendment will reduce the currently approved subdivision from 18 lots to 3 lots due to a lack of sewer availability and topography issues.
All right, the applicant is here. I would. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here that's in opposition to or that would like to make any public comment concerning this zoning amendment request? All right, for anyone that wants to speak or thinks they want to speak along with the applicant, please come forward and you need to be sworn in. And I'd really like to get everybody sworn in just all at one time. So even if you think you want to speak and then you don't want to speak, then you don't have to speak. But I just want to swear everybody in one time. All right. If y'all have a seat, this is in Mr. Ron Fennell's district. Mr. Fennell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to call on Rusty Martin to give a little bit of the details about the change. I did have the privilege of meeting the developer a few months ago, hearing his expressed intent.
Good evening. This property was rezoned back in 2006. As Howard explained earlier, it was rezoned from general commercial to RAD conditional. It was site plan specific, and the plan was to build 18 single-family homes. The property is located at 4781 Camp Highland Road. It's in land lot 606, 607. It's approximately 5.5 acres in size, and it's located in Ward 7. The parcel is currently vacant, and they're proposing to modify the plan and modify the building elevations. I'll go over each of those modifications later on when I show you the site plan. There'll be no change in the zoning. There'll be no change in the future land use. Just to give you a brief background, like I said, it was rezoned in 2006 by a vote of 7-0. Obviously, the housing market crashed. The site was never developed. As part of the development plan, there was going to be a public road developed through the site, and there was going to be sanitary sewer that would be connecting to a public sewer system through Woodland Brook subdivision. Easements were gathered at that time when the property was rezoned, but the easements were they were gathered in principle, but they were never executed, and the system was never installed. The applicant is proposing to modify the currently approved site plan, reducing it from 18 to 3 lots. They're eliminating the proposed road, and they're going to front these 3 lots on Camp Highland Road. Just to give you a little idea of where this property is located, it's basically in between Prince Road and I can't remember what the name of that other road is, but it's right on Camp Highland between Woodland Brook and Weatherbrook subdivision. These are the currently approved site plans. These are the plan and elevations from the zoning in 2006. This is the proposed site plan for the site today. As you can see, it's going to be 3 lots, very long linear lots that extend all the way south from Camp Highland. I think the average lot size is about 83,000 square feet. This is the location of the proposed stormwater detention facility. And there is also a stream buffer on site. So as you can see, this site is topographically challenged and has a whole bunch of issues with it. These are the proposed building elevations. This is pictures of the subject property today. See, it's wooded lot. And these are adjacent properties across the street, adjoining properties on to the east and west. Community Development has reviewed this request and is recommending approval with the same conditions carried over from zoning case Z05-033. There are several modifications, and I'll go through through the list of modifications here. We're proposing to strike stipulation 2, which requires a minimum landscape buffer of 20 feet parallel to any exterior roadway. We're proposing to strike number 4, which is the developer should provide 200 square feet of common open space per lot. We're going to modify number 5, which basically the last sentence, which reads, the detention facility shall be sodded and landscaped. It shall also include a decorative wrought iron fence with interspersed brick columns around the street side. Obviously, the detention facility, as shown, is located behind the house. It'll be screened. There'll be a large wooded area behind that detention facility, so that part of that stipulation is no longer needed. Stipulation number 8, the developer shall install a deceleration lane at the entrance of the subdivision. Obviously, they're not building a private road and they're not building 18 homes, so the deceleration lane is no longer needed. And finally, they're eliminating stipulation number 9, which requires brick pavers or stamped concrete at the entrance of the new proposed road. They're no longer building a road, so it's no longer needed. Number 12 is eliminated. The developer shall install decorative street lights within the development. No longer building a public road, so the street lights are no longer needed there. I think there's existing street lights on Camp Highland. Finally, number 18 is being modified. The front setback is being changed from 15 feet to 20 feet. There's the elimination of the street side setback. There are no corner lots in this property, so it's not needed. And finally, we're adding 19 and 20 to tie this approval to the site plan presented by the applicant and the building elevations submitted by the applicant. That I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Rusty at this time? Okay. Have a seat. Is the applicant here? You'll step forward. Yeah, step forward. I'm sorry. If you just tell us who you are and what you...
I'm Terrence Lewis. My company is Portico Properties.
Okay. Pretty good presentation.
Yep. Mr. Lewis, the original project was 18 homes. The sewer easements were not executed. Therefore, you are putting these on septic, correct?
Yes, sir.
So that changed the density possibility for these homes. And you've built in Smyrna before.
Correct. We're building on Lois Street currently, and we're also building on North Cooper Lake Road.
Okay. Is there anything about the product itself you want to tell folks and about the traffic pattern? You only have 3 homes here, so what's the road?
Yeah, I don't expect an impact from a traffic standpoint. The homes themselves, I expect, will be in the neighborhood of 3,500 or so square feet, 4-bedroom.
Price point?
Price point's going to be in the $500K range. And they're going to be oriented in such a way to take advantage of the city skyline views.
Any other questions of the applicant? Okay, if you would just have a seat. We had another person, I believe, that was sworn in, and if you'd like to come forward, if you have questions, or just tell us who you are and where you live and any comments that you'd like to make.
My name is Jody Wise, and I live at 4810 Camp Highland, which is the property that they're talking about developing borders almost 50% of my property. And I guess I don't know if I'm in opposition or not, because they have not contacted me at all to discuss what kind of buffer they're going to put up, what kind of privacy. I mean, I have concerns when they start doing this, because Weatherbrook is directly across the street from my property. As they developed it, you know, they said we're going to have a deceleration lane, which they did not use, and they put the gated property up. So now every time their gate has malfunctions, it completely blocks up, and I can't even get out of my driveway. Plus, when they developed it, they promised us that the elevation would be down, such as I wouldn't be looking into the back of their buildings. But they hit bedrock sooner than they thought, so the buildings are 20 feet taller now than they thought they were in the original plan. All of which I was just told, kind of, sorry, that's just the way it is. So I just kind of wanted to make sure in this case that we got a lot of issues out of the way to start with, because I've gone from basically sitting on a hill to everything growing up around me. And that's my biggest concern, is what they're going to do as a buffer between my property and theirs, and everything else, because that's a really small piece of property, even though it says 5 acres. Mm-hmm. The section they're talking about putting it in. Can I address him? I was just wondering, are you taking the brick house that's there? You're building between the brick house and my property?
Correct.
Wow. Then it's a very short road frontage.
Yeah.
Stretch.
But it's it's a better buffer, though, isn't it?
Huh?
Does that make it a better buffer?
No. I mean, it would almost have to be backed right up against my property. I mean, like I said, I haven't been able to contacted by anybody, so I have no idea what the new plan even is.
Jody, how big is your property?
My property?
How many acres?
It's a little less than a half acre.
A little less than a half acre.
Yeah, but it's pie shaped going.
Right.
I've got more road frontage than just about anything else.
Yeah.
Okay. Let us. I'll get Rusty to come back up. Can you pull the elevations or the show where his property is?
It's on the screen if the. That's the layout right now. That's the brick house you were talking about. I guess your property is on the side right there.
So it doesn't actually show my property going down through there. I mean, what are the buffer setbacks? How much buffer will there be between my property line and the first house going up the street?
It'll be there'll be 5 feet with a minimum 15 feet between walls.
It'll be 5 feet off of my property line?
Yeah.
And I think that he's not asking to vary from that. That's what our zoning
That's what the
stipulation.
setback is, but that's not truly what the house is depicted on there. It looks like it'll probably be closer to 10 to 15 feet off on that side, on that lot 1.
Yeah, because while this shows a lot of topographical, it doesn't really show the property lines. It doesn't really show my property as how it sets with this.
It shows your side property line on that side. You see lot 1, the western lot line.
So the corner of lot 1 is the corner of my property.
Yeah.
Is there a minimum or maximum setback?
Oh yeah, I mean, and he's not asking to vary from what
Was originally approved.
And
I mean, this is completely different than what was originally approved.
Well, originally it was 18. Wasn't it 18?
And we were only faced by, the backs of the houses headed down in the valley.
Yeah.
Which set my house basically up like this. Now they're talking about more or less taking the whole side.
Yeah.
Are there limitations on from ground level to the roof of the house that are being built?
35 feet, I think is.
It's as high as his house can be, yes.
And is there any stipulations on whether they need to put a fence up, a solid fence, or anything like that between the properties?
No.
So I literally just look up the street and look right straight into the side of the house.
They're both residential properties, so there's not a requirement for a buffer. Buffer usually comes in when you've got a non-residential property abutting a residential piece of property.
There's a traditional setback from the property line before you can construct any physical structure, and that's being met by this.
At 5 feet.
What's the number?
Yes, it's 5 feet. That's what was originally approved for the side setback in zoning
06.
case Z05.
Yeah, that was approved in 06 for many more homes, 18 total.
But the original plan was for how many townhomes?
18.
18 single-family detached homes.
And we're down to 3 on the same.
Correct.
Right, but they also started out with a deceleration lane, everything. This property drops off on a hill real fast.
Right.
So with the original development, everything was going to be basically essentially dropped down in that valley behind my house, as opposed to built right up onto the street, right up, essentially taking the whole top part of my property. And as far as the 5 feet goes, you can see on that one how far it's back from my property from the original construction.
Yeah,
because your 5 feet was coming from over there, and that property lot may have been at an easement of 5 feet, not the house. That means I could stand on my property, and I couldn't even lay down between my property and without hitting the house.
Yes, sir.
And you're not required to put a fence up or anything at building it that close to my property. It just doesn't seem right.
Well, I think the applicant is going by whatever regulations that currently exist, or those that were stipulated with the previous 18 detached homes.
Right, but it was approved for the houses to sit completely different, as with respect to my property, than they're trying to get approved to sit now with my property.
Yes, the orientation of those lots has changed. So now they're going from having their orientation on the new proposed road, which would have an east-west orientation, and now having a north-south orientation and fronting on Camp Highland. So it's changed the lots from having a rear setback along his property to having a side setback along his property.
Okay. I mean, the plan is I don't know whether or not the applicant is planning on putting a fence there or yeah. Okay. I'd suggest maybe you get with him after the meeting, and so he seems to be a pretty reasonable fellow.
And frankly, the homeowner who acquires the house closest to you is likely to be more inclined to make that kind of decision anyway. But that'll sort of be between the two of you, I guess, as neighbors.
I mean, so I assume this is set in stone. There's nothing.
Well, I mean, for us, I mean, you go from 18 detached.
It's,
well, I mean, we had there was a public hearing. I mean, there's notices posted. Have
right,
you not talked to
anybody? This is the first
anybody?
one I've seen, and that's why I came down.
So you didn't call anybody? You just showed up tonight?
There was nothing to call.
There was a yellow sign posted on the site for quite some time, and
Right.
it went to planning and zoning, and that's where the public input phase. And tonight is your opportunity for an additional public input. But I never got a call from.
This was the first yellow sign posted. Period. The one that's up there now saying this meeting tonight. I know. I drive by it.
It's not a
every
zoning
single
change.
day.
It's a downsizing of the original approval. Which were you here for comment back in 2006?
Yes.
Okay.
Because originally it was 18 houses, correct?
Correct. And then they had contemplated connection to a sewer tap-in, which those easements have expired and no longer are available, hence the smaller development.
Right. And I have no problem with them building less houses. It's just the way, I guess, the house is positioned up to my property now as to the way they positioned before.
Okay.
So I have a question. You said that the backs in the previous zoning, it was going to be a back of their yard that would be next to yours?
Correct.
And what was the setback in the rear yard
They
before?
were 50 feet from my property line to the actual back of the house. But it also, like I said, the property drops off really fast from the street, which is what he was talking about, topographical issues with the property.
Mm-hmm.
As they put the deceleration lane, put the setback from the sidewalks and everything else, the houses wound up way down the hill before they even started facing back toward my property. So essentially, even at a 35-foot house, I would still only be able to see maybe the roof. At this point, the way they've got it set up now, I'll be able to see the basement.
Okay. Well, I know we did not have a timer, and I know you've exceeded your allotted time. We will note what you've told us and or your comments were, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
For your time.
And I know that there was someone about 5 rows back that was trying to get to speak, and he didn't get sworn in. I'm going to get him to come up here. Scott, if you'll swear him in. He was trying to get up here.
The best I can, yes. Okay. Hey, Mayor.
How you doing?
Got to say, I've been down on Camp Highland 52 years.
That's long before I was born.
Down there in 52 years, and you was down there in 1974 and did a little asphalt. You ain't been back since. But anyway, that got nothing to do with it. I just wondered, are you interested in buying Prince Road? That's right off of Camp Highland, right below you. Mm-hmm. All them little houses down through there. Talk to you. Been calling me.
Get your grass cut for you?
Yeah, I still got the A-Mall.
Okay, good.
Anyway, I just interested in nibbling up all the houses as they work, and keep building. That's all.
Okay.
As far as sewage, we ain't seen sewage in my life down there. So,
I think that's why he's putting in.
Well, at least come out and cut the bushes down. I can see to get out now.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
I appreciate that.
Thanto you.
But anyway, I just wanted to come up and thank you.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
You're going to get to ride an A-Mall.
Looking forward to. You got the dog to go with us?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Okay, Mr. Fennell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's rare that we have, as fast as Smyrna's growing, a downsizing and going from more houses to less. But I appreciate a quality builder coming here, spotting the opportunity to add additional housing stock, particularly one that has what will be commanding skyline views of Atlanta from up on that ridge. It's a beautiful piece of property, and those homeowners will be certainly very fortunate to both live in Smyrna and see what they're escaping downtown. And I appreciate having quality construction in the area. I hope it's a minimal amount of disruption, and I know the neighbor has concerns that I hope the two neighbors who will cross the fence from one another will be able to work that out. I don't see that as an obligation of the developer to do, in my opinion. And therefore, I move to approve zoning request Z14-025 zoning amendment to modify the currently approved site plan and building elevations for 5.63 acre tract land lot 607, 4781 Camp Highland Road for Portico Properties, Inc. And of course, there are stipulations provided by our community development team, and the builder has agreed in all cases to those stipulations. Correct? With those stipulations attached.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote. That's approved 7-0. Item 5 is privilege licenses. We have none. Item 6 is formal business. Excuse me. A is 2014-386. Authorize the acquisition of approximately 1.6 acres at 6091 Oakdale Road for the purchase price of $200,000 to be used for parks purposes, and authorize the mayor to execute all documents incident to the transition. Ms. Howard, please.
Yes, this is for 2 tracts that join Riverline Park for the 1.6 acres for the purchase price of $200,000, and staff does recommend approval.
This is under Mr. Ron Fennell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For many of you who have driven up and down Oakdale Road, and you know the city built a very nice soccer complex at Riverline Park, these 2 adjacent pieces of property front the park. There was a home there for a long time. One member of the family passed away, and then a few years later, the other member of the family passed away. Both siblings lived out of the community, and therefore this piece of property became available. It was a code enforcement issue. We did have the intervention, and the structure was torn down within the past year. But these 2 adjacent properties to a significant city investment in Riverline Park rarely, right in the front door, become available contiguous like this. We have been challenged with parking on this site, and we have the capability, I think, to expand a little bit of the park for the additional demand on our city's park services. And so to preserve the option for us to take advantage of that substantial expected growth with just down at the bottom of the hill, the Jamestown development coming out of the ground next year, I have recommended that we purchase this property and put it into our parks inventory for determination of usage later. Therefore, Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize the acquisition of the property, 1.6 acres of 6091 Oakdale Road, for a purchase price of $200,000 to be used for park purposes, and to authorize the mayor to execute all documents incident to the transaction.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote. It's approved 7-0. Item 7 on the agenda is commercial building permits. We have none. Item 8 is the consent agenda. Ms. Howard, would you please read the consent agenda for council's approval?
Yes, we have the approval of mayor and council meeting minutes for November 3rd, 2014. We have approval of the City of Smyrna travel regulations for employees, appointed, and elected officials. We have the approval to purchase replacement laptop computers and vehicle docks as part of the FY15 computer replacement CIP project in the amount of $37,310. And mayor and council to award RFP 15-014 for Check Camp Park sod replacement to the lowest bidder, Old Mountain Contracting Company, for $26,268, and to authorize the mayor to execute any related documents.
You hear a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote. Approved 7-0. Committee reports will start tonight with Ms. Melanie Pritchett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to remind everybody to be very careful tonight with this temperature going down in the 20s. I think in the morning I just saw on WSB it's going to be about 15. So make sure you let your water drip if you don't have your house really insulated. And with that, I yield, Mr. Mayor.
Miss Andrea Bluestein.
At this time, I would like to ask Mr. Ken Sudworth to come up and give us a report.
Not only am I able to report a continuation, but October was actually a good month for the city, and our numbers, to the point that just on that 1 month we were about 65% ahead of this time last year. So that's just a continuation. Again, all of the numbers are positive, whether we're talking about building permits or numbers of units. I apologize for that. Our revenues were up. Our new dwellings were up over last year. Number of walk-ins, all of our was up. The issue of construction value was up. So all of the pertinent numbers, and there's 10 of them that we track. When you add them all together, we're running about 25% ahead of last year, but the month of October was particularly good on that. Thanks.
Thank you, Ken.
I feel ridiculous saying this, but I hope each of you have a great holiday next week, because we're 10 days away from Thanksgiving. It seems like, where has the year gone? But if you're going out of town or whatever, please be careful. And hopefully by then it's going to be a little bit warmer. But speaking about houses and stuff, take care of your pets too right now, because my little dog, he doesn't like to get in his sweater, but I make him wear it every day while we go outside because it's just so bitterly cold. But anyway, I hope each of you have a very happy holiday. Thank you. With that, I yield.
Ms. Terry Nolowich.
Thank you. I know that Finance does not have a report tonight, nor does Community Relations, but I do want to take a moment to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. If you're traveling, travel safely, and definitely stay warm, because I think it's going to be a long winter. If you have your seed wheat hidden in the walls, you might not want to let the neighbors know. With that, I yield.
Mr. Corky Welch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I see Miss Ann Kirk in the back here. She's going to come give us a report on Keep Smyrna Beautiful. While she's coming up, I do want to add, if you haven't been by the new recycle center, drive by. It's looking very good. So she may add to that.
Yeah, thank you. We're very, very excited about it. We're not exactly sure when we will get our equipment in for our opening, but trust me, everyone will be duly notified, and we'll probably have some kind of a celebration for that. So it's been a long time coming, but it's going to be very, very nice. If you're frying a turkey or anything else for the holiday season, please remember to recycle your cooking oil with us. You can bring it to the recycling center, any of the fire stations, or if you have curbside recycling pickup, you can put it out in a jug, and a plastic jug, preferably the one it came in, and make sure it has a tightly fit lid. We have less than 100 bags of jonquils left. These are $15 for a bag of 50. They will make a really nice Christmas present for someone, and they'll still be plantable up until the middle of January, early February. So they're at the recycling center and Backyard Feed and Seed. And finally, if you're buying a cut tree for the Christmas holidays, please recycle it with us on Bring One for the Chipper Day. That will be January the 3rd from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. at the Home Depot in Vinings. This saves wear and tear on our Public Works Department having to pick those up from the curb, and we will give you a free tree seedling or free seed packets, all that you would like as a thank you. So thank you very much.
I can.
Thank you, Ann. Mr. Scott Stokes from Public Works in the back.
Mine's going to be quick. And next week is the holiday weeks. We have a holiday sanitation schedule for next week. We're off Thursday and Friday, so Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are garbage pickup days. So those of you that have your garbage picked up on Thursday and Friday. We'll pick all that up on Wednesday. And then there's no yard waste or large trash items picked up on that next week either. A crew's working on the downtown lighting for our Come Home for the Holidays in December 2nd. So all our decorations have been relit this year with LED lighting, brand new LED lighting, even the Christmas tree. I've been told it's going to be white, so we'll see. And new balls for the tree too, or ornaments if you want to call them that. So I'm excited to see that on December the 2nd. And that's about it.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
While Scott is taking a seat, I want to remind everybody we have a couple of major road closures right now. We have Dunton Street and King Springs that are closed, and I've had several complaints from citizens living off of those streets regarding the traffic speed through the neighborhoods. Just remember that you are traveling through a neighborhood and that there are children there, and we'd hate to have someone get hit during the holidays or any other time of the year for that matter. But slow down. It's not going to make but a 15-second difference for you to take your time about getting out of the neighborhood and avoid any possibility of harming some children or an adult for that matter. Just take your time getting out and please slow down. With that, Mr. Mayor, you.
Ms. Susan Wilkinson.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I would like to call Steve Ciaccio from the Parks Department to give us a report.
Good evening. Scott introduced the Coming Home for the Holidays event on December 2nd. It is also our tree lighting and coat drive that evening. That is a Tuesday. The event is on the Village Green and in the Community Center. Youth and adult choral groups will be performing in the center at 5 p.m. There'll be two, not one, but two high-quality Christmas puppet shows on the schedule. Don't miss it. A trackless train will take folks around the green. Campbell High School Band will precede Santa's 7 p.m. arrival to light the tree. And after Santa has lit the tree, the Atlanta Vocal Project, an a cappella group, will perform in front of the library. They are really very good. Smyrna Optimist, of course, will supervise photos with Santa inside of the community center. If the weather is not good on Tuesday the 2nd, the outdoor portion of this event will be the following Tuesday, December 9. The indoor function will happen on the 2nd as is scheduled, but if the weather's real bad, we'll just do it the following Tuesday. Hope you can make it.
Who all will be singing?
The group is called the Atlanta Vocal Project. It's an a cappella group, about 30 men. They're really very talented.
Are the schools coming again this year?
Schools are coming again, yes, sir.
If you wanted to drop a coat off, do you have just that day to do it, or is there a couple of days?
We'll take coats throughout the season, but it's not an entry fee. We'd like people to think it's an entry fee so they don't forget to bring a coat, but it'd be great to do it.
I just don't know that I'm going to be that well organized by then to be.
We'll take coats through the season.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. And now I'd like to call Mary Moore to give us a report from the library.
Good evening. Thank you. The Friends of Smyrna Library have a couple of new items for sale to raise money for the library. Local architect Thomas Smith of Smith Boland donated sketches of well-known Smyrna locations, and what the Friends did was they took these sketches and they created these beautiful note cards. These are packets that are for sale at the library, and then they also created matted prints that are about this big. And those items, they make great thank you gifts or stocking stuffers. Those items, as well as the canvas book bags that they sell, are all available at the front desk at the library. So next week, school is out, as people have mentioned before, And whenever school is out, the library gets even busier than normal. But I did want to encourage people to come in and stock up for their trip. If you have a long drive for your holiday, come by and get some book CDs or some music to entertain you on that long drive. We have books on CD as well as downloadable audiobooks, and we have music CDs, but we also have digital music. I'm not sure people know that. We have 2 different services. With Hoopla and Freegal, you can download any kind of genre you can imagine. You can download it. We'll also have make and take crafts in the meeting room on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Lastly, I'd like everybody to mark their calendar for Sunday, December 7th. That's Pearl Harbor Day. And Narayan Sengupta will be at the library for the first Sunday lecture. He'll be talking about military aviation of the First and Second World Wars. He'll primarily discuss the Tontorn Raid of 1918. So that's December 7th, 3 p.m. Thanks.
Thank you, Mary. With that, I yield.
Mr. Wade Lineker.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll check with our city clerk, see if she has a report tonight. No report. Kay Bullock, our HR director, has a couple items she'd like to mention.
Is that clock? Is the timer working? The clock.
Good evening. Earlier this evening, we had George Davis and Barbara Allen sworn in for their 2-year term on the Civil Service Board. As you know, George was reappointed by the council last meeting to serve back on the board. I think this is maybe starting his 11th or 12th year. He was trying to remember that for sure today. And Barbara was elected to the board from the police and fire personnel. So we're excited to have them both back on the board, or George back on the board and Barbara joining the board. And they will be joining John Davis, who's already on the board serving. He's 1 year into his 2-year term. And last, we'd like to thank John Carmichael for his last 2 years serving on the board. We've really appreciated having him for the last 2 years. And the other item I wanted to talk about is that I don't get to do this very often, but I'm very proud to announce that at last week's Georgia Local Government Personnel Association conference, which was up at Brasstown Valley, Megan Smith and Angie Capato went up for training. But the City of Smyrna Human Resources Department was awarded the 2014 Small Agency Achievement Award. So we were really excited about this award. We were nominated for our supervisory training program that we put together this summer. It was definitely a full department effort. All 4 staff members sat in and worked and developed and implemented this project. All 4 of us were speakers and trainers for the class, but we also had Captain Joe Bennett as well as Sergeant Tim Sharples from the police department were also presenters, and then Georgia Municipal Association, along with 2 of their sister organizations, Local Government Risk Management and GIRMA, Georgia Interlocal Government Risk Management, they all supported the program by providing presenters for us. And one of the reasons that we think we probably got this award this year was because we were very efficient with this program in planning. We had a very limited budget, but it's amazing when you put your resources together and you ask people, how many people will say yes without charging. We had 70 supervisors go through this program this summer. Each one went through 21 hours of training. Each for the full total, 21 hours for 70 people. It averaged a little over $14.50 per person for the entire training. So that's, to me, being very efficient, very cost savings with the citizens' money, but also training our key personnel on how to be better supervisors. So, again, we were really honored with receiving this past week. It's nice to get an award from your peers. And the last time the city won this was back in 2006. They also won it back in 2001. So we're excited to put this on our wall. And I want to thank Rachel, Megan, and Angie for their help on putting this together. And we hope to continue to build on this program.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. Congratulations. Great job, and we appreciate the work the HR department does. It's been a busy month. I guess on November 8th, Robin and I attended the American Legion's Veterans Day banquet that Saturday night, and we were enjoying our dinner, and some folks came up to me and said, the speaker didn't show. How about if you talk? And I certainly wasn't prepared to do that, and probably felt very inadequate compared to a number of the heroes sitting in the room. But it was an honor to speak to them at their banquet, and I appreciated the honor of being asked. And hopefully I didn't cause any problems or embarrass anybody. Then on Tuesday last week, November 11th, we had our Veterans Day ceremony here on the Veterans Memorial next to City Hall in the City Library. It was a gorgeous day. Tuesday is very different from today, unfortunately. I mean, last Tuesday it was low 70s, clear blue sky, sunny. It was just absolutely gorgeous for that time in November. And we had, I think, maybe our biggest crowd ever. I mean, it was well attended. We had a great speaker. The band did well. Had a lot of compliments. I appreciated all the folks in Smyrna that came out to recognize and support and thank veterans. And this community has always been a community that honored and appreciated the veterans in our midst. And God bless each and every one of them. Again, it was great to be there for that ceremony. On Thursday last week, the 13th, I was again honored to attend the annual meeting of the Forest Hills Preservation Group. It was good to see those folks and be in front of them and have a chance to meet some new people. Of course, last week, the new Zaxby's opened at the corners of Concord and Spring Road and Atlanta Road. And every time I drive by there, I don't care if it's morning, during the day, or in the evening, that store must just be printing money inside and giving it away because the parking lot is always full. Apparently, Smyrna likes Zaxby's, and I think that's a great addition to the corner, particularly given some of the things that have been there in the past. I'm very pleased with the success of that store and looking forward to seeing some plans come forward at some point, I'm assuming in 2015, for the redevelopment of Jonquil Plaza. And we can really start putting Smyrna back together again. Several of us attended today at noon the Cobb Chambers Military Appreciation Luncheon. Heard from a number of speakers and recognized a number of illustrative veterans in the audience, and thank those men and women serving today. Again, it's great to see the community honor its veterans and thank its veterans. I see several sitting in the audience right now, and to each and every one of them I say, thank you for your service and your sacrifice. And finally, just as go forward, my wife, the parish nurse at Smyrna First United Methodist Church, gave me something and said, you should mention this tonight in your remarks. And I said, yes, dear. You're exactly right. So Wednesday at the church, Smyrna First United Methodist, this Wednesday, the 19th, from 5 to 7 p.m., they are having a wellness screening and flu shots that are free to members of the community. They will check blood pressure, your body mass index, cholesterol, blood glucose. They'll consult with you about nutrition, general health education, and smoking cessation information will be provided, as well as flu shots, all at no charge, all as part of a community outreach program done by nurses from Emory Healthcare. And the Emory nurses will provide the shots and do the work. So if you haven't had a flu shot yet, or you don't want to pay 10 or 20 or 30 bucks or whatever the going rate is in the pharmacy or store or your doctor's office, here's a chance to get them for free. Smyrna First United Methodist Church, Wednesday, 5 to 7 p.m. Encourage everyone in the community to take advantage of that. Lastly, and not least, again, because of next week, happy Thanksgiving. Best wishes to all. It's one of the most wonderful holidays America has, and it's a great opportunity to thank everyone you know for the blessings in your life and be grateful for all the things that we all have and enjoy. With that, I yield.
Mr. Ron Fennell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If Chief Lee can come forward, we'll talk a little bit about public safety, let him give an update from the police department. While he's arriving, I'll just note that down on the south side of the city, the east-west connector, it's actually in Ward 6, but it's servicing an area. The Quick Trip is to open this week right there on the east-west connector, just to let you know.
Thank you. Things have been going real good. As you know, on Halloween night, we had an additional 14 officers. Most of the command staff, we were out there as well. It's always a good time, but I know we got a lot of great feedback from the citizens getting to see the blue lights driving through their neighborhood and making everything safe for all the children while they're out there having fun. Our SWAT team just got back this weekend. They went to the Orlando area, Orange County, for what's called SWAT Roundup. And basically it's kind of a combination of training, but it's also a big competition. I hadn't heard where they've placed yet, but to give you an idea, they're going up against teams from Dallas, Texas PD, which is probably one of the foremost SWAT teams in the nation. And Orange County Sheriff's Department gets to compete too, which always kind of seemed like a ringer, being it's their course, But the main reason is for the SWAT guys to get down there, get some exceptional training, and get to talk and network with a lot of the major players, throughout the law enforcement community. So it's a real good thing. And their trip was paid for out of donations made to the Smyrna Public Safety Foundation. So the only thing we had to do is pay for their meals, which SWAT guys eat a lot.
Yes, they do.
But everything else is going good. Our crime rate for the month of October of this year compared to last year is down almost 31%. So everything's good.
Chief, I wanted to publicly thank you for some high-profile incidents and how the department handled those recently, and appreciate the officers who put themselves in harm's way to round up bad guys and make sure that we rendered safe those environments. I don't know if you wanted to speak to any of those, but thank you and thank them.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate it, and I'll pass it on. They did an exceptional job. The particular chase that ensued from that, the officer who was the initiating pursuit vehicle has only been on the job for about 3 years. But when you saw how well he handled himself in the chase, the way his radio traffic was, you would have thought he was a 20-year veteran. But I'll tell you, that goes to our training officers who are doing an exceptional job training a lot of these newer and, I was going to say younger, but not all of them are young. We've hired some people who are in their late 30s and early 40s, but they're doing an exceptional job. I did forget to tell you, we're kicking off the monthly leadership classes that I have, and we're actually opening up to a few more, to where we can allow about 8 more people from different departments within the city, so they can participate in it as well at no cost to them.
Perfect. I also want to thank you for the Halloween presents. Several of the neighborhoods in Ward 7 reported to me with glee that they had police escorts for their trick-or-treating, and that last year was well received and a surprise. I think they loved it more this year. I think they've gotten now to expect it and look forward to partnering up with you guys. So thank you for that presence all throughout the city. It was well received.
Thanks, sir.
Also, having the privilege of serving in Leadership Cobb class of 2015 this year, the Public Safety Day that was hosted a couple weeks ago was outstanding, and you were a big asset both to Smyrna, showing off to them, but to help those 40 leaders from around Cobb County to see public safety up front and personal with a lot of different activities, the maneuvers that you do, and even our fire department contributing to that. So thank you for that leadership that you brought to Cobb County's public safety community.
Thanks,
represented us very well.
Thank you.
Chief Lee, when is the next police academy class?
And we just graduated this class.
I know. But somebody will call me and say, when are we going to have another
I will have to get with Captain Leonard to find out. I would assume it would be around March or April.
Okay. But they can get the application from you and turn it in since is it a first come, first serve?
Yes and no. There are other variables we do look at with that, and I obviously the first ones who do. But we try and get a good representation throughout the city so that we don't have all 15 from just say one subdivision or apartment community. So
Okay.
we try and space it out.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Do we have an unwitting victim that Chief Acree has sent over from the fire department? While he's coming forward, just remember it is the holidays. I think Ms. Bluestein mentioned space heaters are one of the items most frequently at issue this season. Welcome aboard.
Good evening. I just wanted to touch base on a few things with you this afternoon. Our annual Shop with a Hero is kicking off this Friday, Friday, December 12th. So we're really excited about that opportunity. And we started off about 10 years ago with about 5 children, and now we're up to 60. And we've actually added Teasley Elementary to this year. So we're really excited about that opportunity. And we definitely wouldn't have been able to do it without the generosity of the Smyrna businesses and the residents in Smyrna. Also wanted to touch base with you. We've actually been expanding our reach with our EMA preparedness. We're excited about the opportunity to work with our Smyrna in Tennessee. We've actually got a Twin City preparedness plan in place to work with them and actually extend our reach and work with the churches and the schools and just showcase that partnership. They actually found out about us through FEMA. They recognized some of the things that we've done here up to this point and contacted us, so we've actually been able to start that relationship up. So it's really exciting for Smyrna. And lastly, I just wanted to assure everybody with the closing down of Emory Adventist, we have met extensively with both Wellstar and Metro ambulance services to make sure that there is an uninterrupted service delivery through 911 to the citizens in Smyrna. I know that that's been a concern. We've also touched base with Cobb Hospital in Kennestone, and they said they can definitely absorb the patients that would otherwise have gone to Emory Adventist. So just wanted to pass that on to you.
And Chief Acree indicated that work is underway for the spring preparedness program for Smyrna, and we appreciate how that's going. With the Emory Adventist departure, he will soon brief the council on the EOC shift that has resulted, and we'll get that briefing, and then we'll share that with the public hopefully at the next meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Remember, if you're frying a turkey, you don't want these guys on speed dial, but just be aware that how dangerous that opportunity might be for the holidays. I'd rather you enjoy your holidays rather than spend it up at the hospital. So be cognizant of that. That is all the business I have, but I did want to make a comment, Mr. Mayor. It's up to you as to where you'd like me to place it now or during.
Depends on how long your comment's going to take. You can do it now.
All right. I had 2 calls, and I've had conversations with a lot of people relative to a matter that some of you are aware of, many may not be, the Hooper Turner House, a property owned by the city for the last 10 years and now 1 month. The original intent of the acquisition of the Hooper Turner House on Oakdale Road, it's actually in unincorporated Cobb County, but it is owned by the city and has been for 10 years, the intent was to save this property for the what had been purported to be a historic structure for preservation and use by ostensibly a not-for-profit entity or whatever group might be identified that would be best to manage that situation. And the city stepped in to save the building from destruction and invested $150,000 in acquiring it. It has been on the market for 10 years for sale. We've had, I think, 4 different realty firms peddling it, and there have been no buyers for the property for occupying the house. The first year I was on council, I spent many meetings with Ms. Cook, some of the preservation folks, with a member of our staff, Tammy Sadler at that time, trying to be creative about finding ways to partner with, to leverage, to reach out to understand what stakeholders might be out there who'd be willing to tackle this, what would be a daunting task of not just acquiring financially the project, the property, but also renovating it for use and then using it on an ongoing basis for a purpose that the historic preservation community had indicated was their preference, to feature and support the Civil War elements that remain, the shoepades down on the river line. I'm a big proponent of the Civil War preservation, like anybody else. I want to see us do that. The city taxpayers, however, didn't invest in this property to be in that business. They invested in this property to save it, to allow for that preservation opportunity to be taken advantage of. It is 10 years on now. 2 years ago, I indicated that we had 1 year and we need to move on. And so we have done so. I just wanted to let the public know that Smyrna is proud of our Civil War heritage. You can see evidence right outside the door up at the library at Bronner Hall that we played a role. We just went through the sesquicentennial celebration of the war, and folks who traveled into Cobb County to look at all the various sites, I am only aware of a handful of people who actually visited our community sites, and I just want to say that we have given it 10 years of investment on the part of the city taxpayers. It's time to return those funds to the city's benefit for other things, and I hope that if there is someone out there who really wants to preserve this structure and turn it into something, that they show themselves, because I haven't seen one nickel yet put in a fund to do anything with this property. And I just wanted to get that on the record, and I'm happy to answer questions offline if anybody had any. With that, Mr. Mayor, I yield.
Joe Howard, you got anything? Scott Cochran, City Attorney. Terry Graham. I'm going to flip-flop on this. I'm going to go to citizens' input before we have this show cause hearing. Start with the list. Alec Backery, 3459 Shawnee Trail. Comments?
My comments tonight are on this 10-foot buffer for commercial and residential. I understand that the 10-foot buffer only applies to residential, not commercial. Now, 10 feet is not much to save, and I'd like to see this council expand it to the commercial as well. To look at Fleming Street, looking at the road there, and they took all the trees down along the road, that those people now have to look over that long area of Belmont Hills is an eyesore. Up at Benson Pool, a couple of weeks ago, I drove by their beautiful tree line all the way down to Windy Hill. It's been wiped out to the street. You can now see all the way over to Old Concord from Benson Pool. I find this a crying shame that they couldn't have saved 10 feet of established trees. They provide privacy and break up an area, especially in these areas where you have big construction. I hope this council considers the 10-foot buffer for both. It's wrong. Even across from Dobbins Feed and Seed, they had 200- and 300-year-old oaks, all gone. People have their houses 10 feet from the sidewalk. It's just outrageous when we keep hearing from the council about the forestry program. Now they put 10-foot trees back. 10 feet. That's going to take 15, 20 years to get anywhere near established, to be noticeable and break it up. Like Fleming Street all the trees gone on there, to me devalues the houses. I don't know why the city doesn't or hopes to consider expanding for both commercial as residential 10-foot buffers. Makes all the difference in the world. Now, the Hickory Lakes, I have trouble, for example, saying that it's now Smyrna Grove. If you look at Webster's dictionary, the word grove means established trees with nothing around it. To me, wiping out 150 trees in there does not qualify for using the word grove. I hope the city changes the name to maybe something like Smyrna Max Folly or something, because the word grove does not apply. And I hope they, again, consider the 10-foot buffer for commercial. Makes all the difference in the world. Thank you.
Roberta Cook, 5911 Graywood Circle, Mableton, Georgia. Hooper Turner House, demolition is her topic.
Is this the timer here? Oh, I'm already on time. I am Roberta Cook, coordinator of the Riverline Historic Area. The website is www.riverline.org. Councilman Ron Fennell gave me a segue here to talk about the Hooper Turner House. The Riverline Historic Area, our mission is to embrace historic and natural resources along the Chattahoochee River to unite the community as a place of distinction. It's 6 miles long. It involves parts of Vining, Smyrna, and Mableton. The most prominent resources that we have are related to the Civil War. We have Civil War trenches and forts. The most significant historic sites we have structurally is one. It's the Hooper Turner House. It's owned by the city of Smyrna, and it's going to be demolished by the city of Smyrna. Now, I don't expect to change the council's mind, but I do want to reach out to the people that are listening to this presentation this evening. We do need to find a solution and a friendly buyer for this house. The reason I volunteer all of my time is because when I came here, I wanted to feel like I was living in the South. But when I came here, all I found was shopping and strip malls and fast food restaurants. And I think quality of life is more than that. I think we need to embrace our American heritage. This house is the epitome of American heritage. I don't have time to tell you a lot of details, but if you would go to our website, riverline.org, read the 10 talking points. It'll boil it down to 10 points, and I don't know if I can read them fast enough to make you appreciate what the city of Smyrna has right now that we're going to lose. We need a buyer for this house by Christmas, so it makes a great Christmas present. I do want to tell you it is on the Cobb County Historic Register. It's at 5811 Oakdale Road in Mableton. Oddly enough, this evening, the council has approved to buy a house down the street from it just to make a parking lot for $200,000, and yet we're, what does it say about our values to destroy a piece of American heritage and yet go down the street and buy a house so we can have parking for $200,000? Doesn't sound like a good exchange to me. But the house, you will find reports to back up that it is dated back to the 1850s, which I'll close by saying that it does give credence to the natives that grew up there and the oral history that it is a Civil War hospital. So I hope you will look at that report because it does say it was here during the war and it's credible sources. Thank you.
Mark Clear Foss, excuse me, 277 Early Parkway, Hooper Turner House.
Honorable Mayor, Councilmen, Councilwomen, My name's Mark Sirfas. I was born here in Smyrna and recently returned from being out in Texas and just recently found out about the Hooper Turner House. I spent most of my 50 years here in Smyrna and have seen a lot of history that's gone by the wayside. Much of that has been destroyed over the years. Some of that history I played on as a kid. The Hooper Turner House dates back to the 1850s. That's a rare thing in Cobb County. Not many houses can make that claim. To preserve it, I think, takes vision. It takes leadership also. The kind of leadership that made this facility possible. I know that in building the Village Green, creative solutions were made and came about through land swaps with developers and all. We need that same type of creative, visionary leadership to see beyond what the Hooper Turner House is now and what it could be in the future for the citizens of Cobb County. This house represents pioneer families that settled Cobb County. I ask tonight that you not demolish the Hooper Turner House, that you give this house an opportunity to become the vision that it is, that it can be. And I'm willing, as an Eagle Scout, as a graduate of Campbell High School, and the leadership lessons I learned, I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. I'm willing to say tonight that I will volunteer to head up a fundraising effort to save this house if the Smyrna City Mayor and City Council will make the effort to save it. We need leaders with vision. We need leadership that can come up with creative solutions. We need to see beyond just the immediate problems that are there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is Joel Cope out there by any chance? Amanda Wise, 4810 Camp Highland Road, Smyrna, Georgia. Rezoning Camp Highland. And Jody Wise. Okay, just wanted to call their names out because they're here. 4810 Camp Highland. Before we get into the show cause hearing, department heads, y'all can go. But just let me just say this: the city obtained Turner Hooper House 10 years ago. That's a long time, and we've been waiting for somebody to step up. And as Mr. Fennell says, we haven't gotten a nickel from anybody. I mean, we tried to save what we thought at that time was a hospital, and we've been yet to this day to been given any facts or any information that it was a hospital. And we can't save the world. The house is in terrible condition. It is unsafe, has mold in it, has asbestos. It's got a lot of problems, and there's just a tremendous liability that we have. And if you've had 10 years to, even if you had lemonade sales out front, you could have gotten some money. But we'll survive, I hope. Item 10 is show cause hearing 2014-366, appeal of the denial of application for an alcohol service permit for Cassandra Alexis Tolles. Is she here? Okay, please come forward. Mr. Cochran, is there any background? You gonna read the little small thing? Just okay. Get a little background, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Well, let me give it a little bit of background quick. Then I'll swear you in, and then it will go from there. And this will be as informal as possible. Okay. This is an appeal from the License and Variance Board that met recently, and it was there was an application from Ms. Tolles to receive a server's permit to be able to serve alcohol in a restaurant, as is required by our ordinance. In order to do that, you've got to get a permit, and you've got to go through the proper channels to do that. She was denied the permit based on the record. She was denied the permit because of a falsity in the application. So that's what brings it here to you all today, is to have a hearing, and then you can decide whether you want to override the ordinance. The ordinance, there's a provision of the ordinance, it's Ordinance 6-108, that says if false information is provided in an application, then the application should be denied. So you all have the ability to hear evidence today and decide what to do. So before we get started, let me swear you in real quick, okay? All right, so again, informal, okay? As informal as possible. Why don't you tell the mayor and council why you think that they should override their ordinance and give you the license under this circumstance?
First of all, I'm a entirely new, resident of the Smyrna and Marietta area. I saw this opportunity as a way to start a new leaf, in a sense. And since I started employment at the restaurant's name is Varner's, I've become very close with a lot of the people that I work with and developed quite an intense support group. And they've all been very understanding of my situation, and I'm very appreciative of what they've all done for me. And I also have a letter here written, another letter that a different manager of mine wrote for me that I would like to read to you, and another manager that has come with me here to help represent my case. I am a very hardworking individual, and I believe that if I'm given this opportunity that I can excel in many other ways, because I'm also trying to save up for a few other things, one of them being getting TEFL certified to teach English abroad. And that is a 3-month course that I can take online, but that starts with saving funds to do so. And seeing as how I'm pretty new here, I was kind of given this opportunity at the workplace through a mutual friend, and upon coming in for application, I was hired on the spot, so I've seen that as a good sign. But if you like, I can read my other letter to you at this time.
You give that to the attorney or the clerk? Oh, do you want to read it, or just...
I can read it.
However you want to do it, either read it or we'll take it in as a record. You want to read it? Okay.
I would like to. This was written by my manager, Andrea Knoll. This is to whom it may concern. Cassandra Tolles is an exemplary employee, always willing to work hard and do anything asked of her. She is an asset to the business. We would really like to keep her on and have her grow with the company. I'm aware of her past troubles and that she has moved to Marietta to change and improve herself, which I believe she is on the right path. Keeping her position with us, I believe, is going to benefit her growth. And I would agree with her because I've become very close to all of them there, and it would mean a lot to me if I were able to continue my position there.
Mr. Cochran, you want to...
Yeah, so is there anything else that you want them to know?
I understand that I checked no on the sheet that asks if I have any recent arrests and convictions, and I'm really apologetic of that. I guess I was more so concerned of the fact that if I didn't, then it wouldn't be able to go through at all. I haven't been convicted of anything yet, and I'm hoping to save money to get a lawyer to help with my case in regards to the recent charges that have been brought upon me. But again, in order for me to do that, I would need to have a way to create these funds. And without that, I don't think I would be able to.
So just so it's clear. I mean, there was an application, and there was a part of the application where you had to put down whether you'd been arrested, and you checked no, but that should have been checked yes.
Yes. It was because I was thinking more along the lines of the convictions. Like, I feel a lot of my arrest was unlawful, and that's why I want to get a lawyer. But I haven't been convicted of anything, but I was arrested.
Yeah. Charges are pending now, right? Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I have one. Ms. Knowles, when you checked no, did you intentionally choose to deceive the board, or is there any explanation at all for why you did this?
I wasn't intentionally trying to deceive anyone. I was just trying to try. I thought that if I had said yes, then it wouldn't work at all, that I would immediately be denied.
Well, that makes it look more like convenience.
No, I understand that, and I'm very sorry.
So you were arrested, but your case has not been, I guess, processed or adjudicated. You're still.
No, it's still pending. I'm still trying to work on acquiring a lawyer to work with me in regards to the case.
Any questions, Mr. Fennell?
Ms. Tolles, you know that the privilege of serving alcohol is just that. It is a privilege in our city, and it's a public safety issue for us. Really important for us to protect the public. We don't want anyone overserved. We don't want our roadways having drunk drivers on them. And it's not like a right that you have. This is a privileged license, much like a driver's license. If you violate a rule of the road, they take your driver's license away. This is one of those situations, and one of the rules, that's why you were sworn in, is you have to tell the truth about all aspects of this, and that's kind of an underpinning of what we do and how we entrust people to these privileged licenses. And I know that you're working hard to get your life headed in the right direction. I applaud you for that. And I know you have a lot of friends and supporters around you that can help keep you focused that way. I don't know the outcome of your pending litigation, but at this point, given what we have to do to take a look at protecting the privilege of the license, we have to be very careful about how we issue those, to whom we issue them, and how we protect that franchise within the city, because not every community has this privilege. So when is your case to be considered? Are you aware?
My court date for the case is December 16th.
Do you have counsel already?
No. I'm working on it.
Okay.
It's a process.
Well, I wish you well with that.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yes, sir. Ms. Tolles, have you ever held a service permit in any other location?
I've never been required to have a serving permit, but I have served in other locations.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Tolles, you said December 16th you're expecting to go to court. Is that a preliminary hearing or some sort of final action where something will be decided, or is that the first part of several parts that will continue for several months? Or
it's probably going to be the first part. I plan on pleading not guilty, and if I can't acquire my own lawyer, I'll be requesting a public defender, but hopefully by that point I will be able to acquire my own lawyer.
And is it, I don't want to get into too much detail, but is it a charge or several charges?
It was 3 charges that were brought to me, but one of them I don't feel was lawful, and the whole process of the arrest in general was very it's just very difficult to explain, but it's really all I have to say about it.
And that's one reason why we did this at the end of the meeting rather than doing it because we know it's embarrassing for you. I guess I'll just say this, and I think this council has been very supportive and lenient in trying to get people, giving them another break to get their life back together and give them a job, and so they can, be a good product of society. I guess where I look at it from is that the board that you went before, you provided false information, and you weren't truthful on your application, and I can't tell you what the council's going to do, but for us, if we said, okay, we're going to just disregard what the leave board said And that would make, to me, if I was on lead board, I'd say, what does the council think of me? Then I'll just give anybody, their license. They don't have to be truthful. For them, what I understood was that was key, that you had falsified and given false information. And you know what I mean? If I could hire you, I would hire you. You're a nice, pleasant-looking young lady. Your bosses come up here and everybody's vouching for you. But it's just, this is the first time that we've had a situation like this where the information has not been accurate, and it puts everybody in a terrible position. I'll just say that, and I don't know if anybody else wants to.
Okay. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, honey, but at this time, until you get that pending thing straightened out, we're going to need to, I'm going to make a motion to deny the application for a reinstatement of your alcohol service permit for Cassandra Alexis Tolles. That is case number 2014-366. When you do get it straightened out, then you come back before us, okay?
Making a formal motion, okay.
Yeah, I have made a motion to deny the application.
Motion and second to deny. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote. That is, motion to deny is approved 7-0. Nothing we can do. So you get your stuff taken care of, and then come back, and I think this council would reconsider.
It would be several months before I can get all of that settled, and
I'm sorry. It's just nothing we can do.
thank you for your time.
That was the final item on the agenda. If there's no other business to be brought before this body, I declare this meeting adjourned at 9, looks like 14 maybe. 13. I know it.